So at my darkest point, I didn't care whether I lived or died. There was multiple times where I tried to take my own life.
I had a good job, I was successful, but through a marriage, a bad marriage, and becoming divorced, the kids kind of out of the nest, I found myself alone, and I crawled into a bottle, which led me to homelessness.
I heard a person once say who'd experienced a lot of trauma in her life say, where there's breath, there's hope. And I think that's something that I've always loved about working at Heartland Family Service is we don't give up on people. We don't judge people because anybody can have experienced similar challenges. Sometimes we're just one thing away from that happening and we don't even know it. So, but we believe in that hope. That's why we do this work, and we see the impact of that.
So for the last 13 years, I have been strung out on drugs, and it's been a long-standing battle. So after I had my oldest daughter, there was a spark in me that wanted to change. I just wasn't ready. Just being a mother wasn't enough.
Even though it might only been a month out on the streets, one day's too much. It's dark, it's lonely, it's you don't know where your next meal is gonna come from. You don't know if the homeless person next to you is gonna stab you, rob you. It's such a feeling of hopelessness. And I don't wish that on anybody.
If our community doesn't have Heartland Family Service, then there'll be challenges in providing services to mental health, the homeless. There are many seniors that we provide services, the elderly that are, in fixed income. So there are multiple areas within the community that if Heartland Family Services wasn't here, that it would be felt.
So when I got out of jail, I had contacted my mom, and she had told me that she had heard a change in my voice and my tone. So she was willing to let me see my daughter. So they moved up to Omaha with me, and I started her in school. We went swimming, did normal mother-daughter stuff, and it was amazing. And I got a taste for sobriety in life, and I want more.
I get kind of emotional when I think of him because, not only was Dave a case manager, he was a friend. He really was. I'll tell you what, he's definitely an asset to Heartland Family Service. He went over and beyond the call of duty. I mean, constantly giving me rides. He'd come from Omaha to Council Bluffs and give me a ride, maybe only if I had to go 2 or 3 miles. But he would take the time out of his schedule to come over and get me and provide me a way there. And it says a lot. I miss him.
So many of the people that we serve have experienced significant trauma, usually, sadly, first as children, then again as adults. And so we know for our organization to be successful in helping the people that we serve to heal, we have to be trauma informed. And what that means is that we've created a culture where first and foremost, our staff feel safe to be their authentic selves, so that when our clients come in, they can also feel safe to be their authentic selves. And in that safety, create a really strong therapeutic relationship, because that's where the magic happens. Without that kind of trust, without that kind of safety, people might continue to show up because maybe a judge has told them you need to go, or a child welfare worker or somebody has said this is something you need to do, but they're not really going to engage, and they certainly aren't going to benefit unless that trusting relationship happens where everybody involved starts to understand the full complexity of what's happening so the right resources at the right time can be delivered.
Well, I have come so far. When I first got to Nebraska Family Works, my daughter was placed with me immediately. So I have been going through classes and programming, and it's been giving me tools that I need to be successful. I've learned resources through Heartland Family Service of things that are going to continue to set me up for success. I am currently on phase 4 in my program, and I will be graduating in 2 weeks. So it has been a long journey, but it's definitely rewarding. And I could not have done it without the support of Heartland Family Service and Nebraska Family Works.
Heartland did numerous things for me. Numerous. From finding me housing to food to clothing to, you name it, and they did it. It's more like, what didn't they do? Heartland's there for you to pick you up, dust you off, and say, hey, come on, man, let's get going. And that's what they did, and I give them all the thanks in the world.
Well, Heartland Family Service stands apart because we're holistic. We don't just look at one program, we look at overall family support, transition programs, financial stability, homeless. So all that dynamic of being able to manage multiple programs, multiple needs in the community is what makes, I think, Heartland Family Service very unique in the services, and not only in Omaha, but Council Bluffs as well.
Our minds are wired for negativity. It's how we've survived as a species. So we tend to pay attention to the bad news that we hear all around us constantly. But there's a lot of really great things happening, and one of those things is the work that we do at Heartland Family Service. And not just the work that we do, but the extent to which this community rallies around us and invests their time, energy, and their talents and their everything into us to make sure that we can continue to do the work. Because like I said before, we really are saving people's lives. So often we'll drive by a person maybe who's living on the streets, and very often you hear people, say pretty disparaging remarks and address the topic in a really hopeless way. And yet we know that those experiences are largely situational, that with the right interventions, the right resources, the right support, we can help people have a high quality life in their own home where they are safe and able to contribute to this community.
And it took me a long time to realize that I am important. I have a lot to offer this world. I have an amazing testimony, and nobody could ever live my life like I did. So I'm the person that can tell my story the best. And I want to live on to do that, to show my daughters that no matter how deep and dark it may feel and look at times, you can do anything. I wouldn't say I'm scared. I've been scared my whole life. I am just ready and willing. Super nervous.